Vampires are the coolest fictional monster I can think of, and they have been for as long as I can remember. I mean, yeah, werewolves are fine and zombies are cool and all, but there's just something about the idea of some drip-dad old dude biting someone's neck that is so funny to me, I have to put him on a pedestal. Well, that and the fact I grew up during the height of the Twilight movies and witnessed firsthand the Pandora's box that franchise unleashed into the world. Now, have I seen the Twilight movies? No, but I'm telling you right now, if I had to deal with these undead, bloodthirsty monsters in real life, buddy, I'm clocking out in record time. But a world full of vampires is all that Momo has ever known. A long time ago, a plague broke out during the winter, and with it came the first of these creatures. The very few people left fled to some isolated city in the middle of Russia and built a giant tower to ward off any of the undead. And that's cool and all, right? Having a giant light constantly strobe your bedroom window as you try to sleep, but I would hardly call this living. They live in constant fear of being eaten, to the point of throwing away everything that made them unique, that made them human. Momo has lived her entire life without art or music or any type of soul within those walls. She's nothing more than a factory worker and a soldier. Every day they're sent out in groups to exterminate any vampires roaming near the city with one single task: to kill until there's none left. The only comfort Momo finds in any of this is the daughter of the commander, as a young girl burdened with all of that, and the added stress of not wanting to let your own mother down is from her best friend Mirena. One day, Momo and Mirena enter an old, decrepit museum and they run into one of these vampires. Except it's not a giant, bloodthirsty monster. It's a kid. The young vampire holds up a music box, and here we get to see Momo's most defining trait of the series: her empathy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I won't even lie to you. If I was in her shoes, I would have blasted that freak with the power of God in less than a second. But Momo hesitates, whether it be out of sheer confusion or acknowledgement that these monsters were once people too. Vampire or not, that's still a crying child. This moment of hesitation almost leads to her death though. The child jabs herself with the same stuff they gave to Steve Rogers, then lunges at the girls, but again Momo hesitates to kill the monster. Her only saving grace is a general coming into the room and finishing the job she couldn't. At this point, you probably have tons of questions floating through your mind, including what's up with that drug the little kid had? I don't know. The thing about Vampire in the Garden is that it doesn't give you all the answers. With only five episodes? Okay, man, wow. With only 5 episodes and a lot of story to cover, some things will be left up to you as the viewer to interpret. And I kind of really like that. I love the idea that my interpretation of what happened to get to this point may be different than yours. I think Quentin Tarantino had an interview where he said he doesn't tell you what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction and instead leaves it up to you and I to figure out. If we were to both watch that movie, buy our tickets, get seats and snacks together, and gaze into each other's eyes, don't rush me, I'm just not ready. We would have 2 different movies, just like we have 2 different animes here. Why are the lakes and rivers the exact same color, I think, as the drug she just jabbed into her neck? Who gave this sassy lost child liquid crack? Beats me, you'll have to answer those questions yourself. But for future reference, because it will show up later, the drug basically, kills you. Back in the city, we get to meet Momo's mother, who tells us a little bit more about the world they're living in. They're running out of supplies, their waterways are polluted, and they're at war with these vampires. Vampires who couldn't care less about them. The juxtaposition between the living slowly dying out from the famine and the cold and the undead having the times of their lives is insane. Fanae is the queen of vampires, and our first glimpse at the other side of this barren world. She rejects her duties as ruler and refuses to drink human blood, even though it's slowly killing her. And even with constant push and pull from Allegro, her caretaker. He tells her he started gathering troops to attack the humans without knowing the humans are planning the exact same thing. Both sides are tense, and every single death is another reason to go to war. Eventually, Fanae is dragged into the line of fire too, telling Allegro that she just wants to find somewhere to die. She has no reason to fight. She lost everything she cared about a long time ago. Now, remember that music box I mentioned earlier? It turns out that Mirena snuck it out during the chaos, and both she and Momo have been listening to it every night, even to the point of singing along with the box as it chimes. The night of the invasion, Momo's mother finds her singing and rips the music box from Momo's hands before throwing it to the floor. The commander grabs her daughter by the scruff of her shirt and begins berating her for growing fond of their culture. "I feed you, I put a roof over your head, what else could you want?" But she answers her own question. Art, music, freedom, individuality, expression, life. The things Momo has never had, that is all she could want. As the commander tries to apologize to Momo for lashing out, the vampires begin their invasion, killing any human they see. Now, I completely understand why Momo runs away from home, but she could not have picked a worse time. To me, it seems like tension has been building and building, not just between the vampires and the humans, but between Momo and the life she's forced to live. She escapes into the forest so she can be alone with the music box, alone with the one thing that's given her peace. What she doesn't know is a few meters across from her lies Finay, bleeding out because someone chucked a grenade at her Call of Duty style. And as she steadies the needle to give herself the Steve Rogers serum, she hears the voice of a young girl singing. We never get to learn the name of that vampire from the museum, but we get to see the story from a new perspective here, where the tables are turned. Momo takes the place of the monster and Finay the human, united by one thing: music. Music is such an important subject for the show to touch on because it's something that exists as a reminder of humanity. And despite the differences between the humans and the undead, it somehow connects them to those who once were. Vinyls or cassettes or even just smacking your knuckles on piano keys. Not very effective, but the reason everyone back in that city seems so miserable is because they forgot one of the one things that keeps us together, something that transcends language. Yoshihiro Ike composed the soundtrack for this anime, and the most important track is obviously this. Anywhere But Here, the song that plays as Momo winds the music box. You can hear it over and over throughout the series, and it sort of serves as a driving point for Momo going forward, as well as the Queen of Vampires herself. It's the one thing that connects them both. Finay looks at Momo and is reminded of someone she once knew. She wants Momo to sing that song again, the song of a woman who she loves so dearly. She begs her again and again before the queen gets popped in the shoulder by Mirena. Momo makes a break for it and escapes to the other side of the river, only to see her best friend get impaled through the chest by a coked out vampire monster. All she can see in front of her is her best friend's corpse and the vampire who tried to save her and failed. Finay takes Momo and flies off before her body gives out, crashing just before the city's gates. She then gives Momo a choice: come with me or let your own mother sacrifice you to prove a point. You're nothing more than a factory worker and a soldier here. No matter the cost, no matter the casualties, you are given one single task: to kill until there's none left. Any divide between the humans and monsters has been washed away, and the only thing Momo has left is a monster who just wants to hear her sing again.